Imagine someone telling you that the light of your entire life depends on one small thing, your eye. If the eye is clear, the whole body becomes full of light. But if the eye becomes dark, every part of life sinks into darkness. These words were spoken by the one whom the world knows as Jesus Christ. And we find these words in a profound passage in the Gospel of Matthew. But when we read this sentence at first glance, it seems like a simple statement, a metaphor. Yet in reality, within it lies such a deep secret about the human soul, intention, thinking, and spiritual insight that if a person truly understands it, their entire perspective on life can change. When Jesus said, "The eye is the lamp of the body," the people of that time would have immediately understood that he was not talking only about the physical eye. In the spiritual traditions of the East at that time, the eye was not considered merely a tool for seeing. The eye was seen as the doorway to a person's soul. That is why when he says that if the eye is clear, the whole body will be full of light, what he is really saying is that if a person's intention is pure, their perspective is clear, and their focus is clear, then their entire life becomes illuminated. Every decision, every path, every thought begins to move in light. But if the eye becomes corrupt, if the perspective becomes distorted, if a person's inner insight becomes dark, then no matter how much knowledge they possess or how much wealth they have, their life will still remain in darkness. There is another deeper hint hidden here. At that moment, Jesus was explaining a great spiritual reality to people. Humans often think that their lives are controlled by external things: money, circumstances, people, power. But the message of Jesus is different. He says that the true light of life does not come from outside, it comes from within, and the doorway to that light is your eye. But here, the eye does not only mean the seeing eye, rather it means a person's spiritual focus. What are you looking at? What are you directing your attention toward? What are you making the center of your life? Think about it. If a person constantly looks at jealousy, constantly burns with envy when seeing the success of others, and keeps their eyes only on negativity, then slowly their entire soul becomes filled with that very thing. Their eye becomes dark. Then they begin to see darkness everywhere in the world. Every person seems bad. Every situation feels wrong. But if someone illuminates their eye, if they develop the habit of seeing truth, mercy, and spiritual reality, then gradually their whole life begins to fill with light. Within this sentence, there is also a psychological secret that modern science confirms today. The human brain tends to notice more of whatever it focuses on. If your focus is on negativity, your mind will keep searching for negativity everywhere. But if your focus is on light, you will begin to notice signs of light everywhere. In other words, Jesus was explaining a spiritual principle that neuroscience is only now beginning to understand. Your eye, meaning your focus, shapes your reality. But there is another profound word here that people often ignore. When Jesus says that if your eye is clear, your body will be full of light, the original word does not only mean clean. It means single, pure, undivided. That is, an eye that is not looking in two directions, a vision that is not confused, a heart that is not trapped between two different things. This is a spiritual principle. When a person's heart becomes divided, when they try to hold on to light on one side and darkness on the other, the darkness in their life increases. But when their focus becomes single, when their heart becomes clear and straight, then light begins to fill their soul. Think of a lamp. If the glass of the lamp is clean, the light spreads far. But if the glass becomes covered with dust, the light grows weak. The lamp still contains light, but it cannot shine outward. In the same way, there is also a light within every human being. But when their eye becomes filled with greed, envy, anger, and selfishness, that light becomes dim. Then a person begins to think that the world itself is dark, when in reality, their own eye has become clouded. Perhaps the deepest part of this message is the final statement where Jesus says that if the light within you becomes darkness, how great that darkness will be. This is a spiritual warning. Sometimes a person believes they are full of light, while in reality, they are in darkness. Sometimes a person thinks they are seeing the truth, when in fact, they are only seeing their own desires. And when a person believes they are in the light while actually being in darkness, that becomes the most dangerous state. That is why the message of Jesus here is not merely advice, it is an invitation. An invitation for a person to examine their eye, to reflect on what the focus of their life truly is, to ask what they are looking at and what they are making the center of their soul. Because where your eye goes, your heart follows. And where your heart goes, your entire life begins to move. And perhaps that is why this small sentence, which appears simple at first glance, is actually a map of a person's entire spiritual life. It tells us that light does not come from outside. Light comes from within. But the doorway to that light is your eye. And when a person clears their eye, when their perspective becomes pure, then slowly the world begins to look different. People begin to seem different. And the meaning of life becomes deeper than before. And from there, a new story of light begins. When a person begins to understand the idea that the eye is the lamp of the body, another deep thought starts to arise in their heart. Because if the eye is the source of light, then the question naturally appears: how can the eye be illuminated? And this is where the spiritual journey begins. The journey that Jesus Christ wanted his listeners to understand when these words were spoken in the Gospel of Matthew. At that time, people were sitting along the slopes of the hills. A gentle breeze was blowing, and the people were not just listening to the words of a prophet. They were hearing the truth about their own lives. Jesus often spoke in parables so that ordinary people could feel and understand deep spiritual realities. When he called the eye the lamp of the body, he was actually describing a spiritual law. A person gradually becomes shaped by whatever they get used to seeing. Think of a child who grows up seeing only love. In his home, people respect each other and help each other. Slowly, that child begins to become the same way. Why? Because his eye has seen light. But if a child constantly sees hatred, conflict, and greed, then that same color begins to settle on his soul. This means the eye is not just a tool for seeing, it is a means of shaping the soul. That is why when Jesus speaks about the eye, he is not only referring to physical vision, he is speaking about something that in spiritual language is called insight. Insight is the kind of vision that does not only see the outer appearance of things, but understands their deeper meaning. Many people can see, yet remain blind, while others may see little but perceive deeply. To understand this, imagine another example. Two people live in the same city. Both walk through the same streets and see the same people. Yet the first person notices evil everywhere. He feels the world is corrupt, people are selfish, and every situation hides deception. The second person lives in the same city yet sees humanity everywhere. Even a small act of kindness appears like light to him, and someone's smile feels like hope. Why are their worlds so different? because their eyes are different. Here, the message of Jesus points to another deep truth. He says that if the eye is clear, the whole body becomes full of light. This means when a person's focus becomes clear, every part of their life is affected. Their thinking changes, their speech changes, their behavior changes, and gradually even their decisions begin to change. There is a spiritual secret here that people often miss. Humans usually try to change their lives from the outside. They say that if their circumstances change, they will become happy. If they gain wealth, their life will become bright. But the message of Jesus is completely the opposite. He says, do not try to illuminate life from the outside, illuminate it from within. If your eye becomes full of light, even dark places will begin to appear bright. This is similar to the morning sun. When the sun rises, it does not change the city itself. The houses remain the same, the streets remain the same, the people remain the same. Yet once the light appears, everything looks different. Colors come alive, and things become clear. The sun did not change the world, it simply gave light. The message of Jesus is much the same. He says that if your eye becomes illuminated, a sun rises within your soul that lights up your entire life. But there is another deeper point here. The eye is not only a means of receiving light, it is also a means of direction. Wherever the eye goes, the body follows. If your vision sees the right path, you walk on the right path. But if your sight is deceived, then a person may begin walking down the wrong road. That is why ancient spiritual teachers often said that the greatest battle of a human being is the battle of the eye. Because in this world, there are thousands of things that try to pull your attention toward them. Wealth, fame, envy, greed. All these things attempt to capture the human eye. And when a person's focus settles on them, slowly their soul also becomes enslaved by those same things. That is why the message of Jesus is not merely a metaphor. It is a kind of spiritual training. He was teaching his listeners how to guard their eyes, what they should look at, and what they should turn their gaze away from. Imagine if a person develops the habit of noticing small lights in their life every day. Someone's kindness, someone's honesty, someone's mercy. Slowly their eye begins to recognize light. Then darkness no longer affects them as deeply. Darkness may still exist, but their heart does not drown in it. Perhaps that is why Jesus called the eye a lamp. A lamp does not only give light, it exposes darkness. When a lamp is lit, darkness cannot hide. In the same way, when a person's spiritual eye awakens, they begin to see the difference between truth and falsehood. They recognize deception. They recognize greed. They begin to feel the presence of truth. But perhaps the deepest point is this. Jesus was not trying to frighten people. He was trying to awaken them. He was saying that within you lies the capacity for light. There is a lamp inside you that can be lit, but the glass of that lamp is your eye. If you keep it clean, if you keep your vision fixed on truth and light, then that lamp can shine so brightly that your entire life can become a journey filled with light. And when a person begins to understand this, they realize that the real battle of life is not happening outside. It is happening within. Every day, every moment, a person's eye is deciding whether it will look toward light or toward darkness. And from that moment, the spiritual journey becomes even deeper. Because when the eye truly begins to shine with light, a person is not only seeing the world, they are, for the first time, truly seeing themselves. When a person reaches the understanding that the light of their life is connected to their eye, the most important question arises. How can a person gain control over their eye? Because it is easy to say that the eye should be kept pure, but in real life, keeping the eye pure is a spiritual struggle. There are thousands of things in the world that pull a person's gaze. Sometimes greed, sometimes envy, sometimes desire, sometimes anger. And slowly, a person begins to feel that their eye is no longer truly their own, but that it is being influenced from every direction. That is why when Jesus Christ speaks about the spiritual life, he does not speak only about belief, but about the training of the heart and the training of the eye. Because the eye is actually the doorway to the heart. Whatever enters through the eye slowly becomes a part of the heart. And then the heart begins to desire seeing that same thing again. In this way, a cycle is formed. The eye sees something, the heart begins to desire it, and then the eye searches for it again. That is why the first secret to gaining control over the eye is awareness. A person must first understand that their gaze is shaping their soul. Most people treat their eyes as something ordinary. They look at whatever they want, follow whatever they want, and keep feeding their gaze whatever appears before it. But slowly, they begin to feel that their soul has become restless. Their heart feels heavy, and their thoughts become tangled. Then they cannot understand where all of this came from. The reality is that their eye had been collecting darkness for years. That is why spiritual teachers often say that guarding the eye is like guarding the gate of a city. If the gate is left open, anything can enter. But if the gate is opened with awareness, then only those things enter that strengthen the city. The message of Jesus points toward the same idea when he says that, if the eye is clear, the whole body becomes full of light. This means that if a person disciplines their gaze, if they decide what they will allow themselves to see and what they will turn their gaze away from, then slowly their soul also begins to become pure. The second secret to gaining control over the eye is the purity of intention. Often the real issue is not what a person is looking at, but the intention with which they are looking. Two people may see the same thing, yet their hearts respond in completely different ways. One person sees someone's success and feels happy and inspired. Another person sees the same thing and becomes filled with envy. The object is the same, the eye is the same, but the intention is different. That is why in the spiritual journey a person must repeatedly purify their intention. They ask their heart, why am I looking at this? Why am I focusing on this? Is this thing bringing light into my soul, or is it filling it with darkness? The third secret to controlling the eye is changing one's focus. A person's gaze often settles on whatever shines the most. And in this world, there is a lot of shine. The shine of wealth, the shine of fame, the shine of the desires of the ego. But spiritual people know that not every shine is light. Some shine is only deception. That is why Jesus teaches people to recognize the true light. Look at mercy. Look at truth. Look at humanity. When a person begins to keep their gaze on these things, slowly their mind also begins to think in the same way. There is a deep spiritual secret here. Whatever you repeatedly look at, you slowly begin to resemble. If a person constantly looks at wrongdoing, their soul becomes affected by that wrongdoing. But if they look toward light, then light begins to enter their soul. The fourth secret to controlling the eye is silence and solitude. In today's world, the human eye never truly rests. There are screens, images, news, videos, advertisements all the time. A person's gaze is constantly filled with something. And when the eye is never given a moment of peace, the soul also becomes exhausted. That is why ancient spiritual teachers considered solitude to be essential. It is the time when a person turns their eyes away from the images of the world and begins to look inward. When they sit in silence and listen to the voice of their own heart. In that moment, the eye is not only looking outward, but also sensing the inner light. And perhaps the deepest secret to gaining control over the eye is love. Because whatever a person loves, their gaze naturally turns toward it. If a person loves only the things of the world, their eyes will remain fixed on those things. But if love for truth, mercy, and spiritual reality begins to grow in their heart, then their eyes will also begin to search for that light. That is why the message of Jesus is not only about controlling the eye, but about illuminating the heart, because when the heart becomes full of light, controlling the eye is no longer difficult. Then a person naturally begins to feel their gaze turning away from things that once weighed down their soul, and settling instead on things that bring light. And gradually a person begins to understand that gaining control over the eye is actually gaining control over their life. Because wherever your gaze goes, your soul follows. And wherever your soul goes, the direction of your life is decided. That is why when Jesus said that the eye is the lamp of the body, he was not merely speaking a sentence. He was revealing a secret of spiritual power. A secret that, once understood, allows a person to slowly move from darkness toward light. And when this journey begins, a person realizes that the light was never far away outside. It had always been waiting within them to be lit. There comes a time when a person realizes that their eye is not only illuminating their own life, but is also becoming a light for others. Because light has a strange effect. It does not burn only for itself. It illuminates everything around it as well. People often think that the spiritual life exists only between a person and God. But the message of Jesus also teaches that when a person's eye becomes enlightened, their behavior changes as well. They begin to see people differently. Where before they saw only faults, now they begin to truly see the person. Where before they thought only of their own benefit, now they also feel the needs of others. In other words, light does not remain merely an inner experience. It becomes a living way of being. And perhaps this is why Jesus called the eye a lamp. Because the purpose of a lamp is not only to illuminate itself. A lamp's purpose is to show the way in a dark room. When a lamp is lit, people can walk in its light. Imagine if even a few people in a city illuminated their spiritual eye. They would see truth instead of lies, mercy instead of hatred, and humanity instead of greed. Gradually, their behavior would begin to influence others. Light would begin to spread. That is why spiritual traditions often say that the easiest way to spread light is not to give lectures to people, but to become illuminated yourself. Because when a person's eye is enlightened, their life itself becomes a message. And then there comes a time when a person looks back at their past life. They realize how many things they had misunderstood, how many times they had mistaken darkness for light, how many times they had mistaken shine for truth. But now their vision has changed. Now they know what true light is. True light is that which lightens the heart. It is that which brings a person closer to truth. It is that which creates mercy for others. And this is the point at which Jesus' simple sentence is understood in all its depth. The eye is the lamp of the body. That is, the light of a person's entire life begins with their gaze. If the gaze is clear, life becomes bright. If the gaze is clouded, even light begins to appear as darkness. That is why the true purpose of the spiritual journey is not to change the world. The real purpose is to illuminate your own eye. Because when the eye is illuminated, a person gradually begins to see what they could not see before. They see a story in every person. They see a lesson in every difficulty. They see light in every moment. And then a person realizes that the light did not come from anywhere outside. It had always been within them. They only needed to clear their eye enough for that light to shine outward. And when that light burns, a person's life no longer remains just a journey. It becomes a lamp that begins to show the way to those walking in dark paths.